So thank you for the introduction. So hello to everybody. I would like to start from two things. It's always tricky to stand before the auditorium and lunch. So I tried to be as much as possible precise and not to prolong my presentation. And also, I'm really very happy to have our first live conference after 1 year and a half, because the last one I have last year in beginning of March. So now it's really a big pleasure, and doesn't matter that it's not so far away. It's in Lithuania, and as usually I'm flying 2.5 times around the globe yearly. So I'm really not to fly, but to drive to this conference. So, okay, and short introduction of my presentation. It will be not like a very precise we had before, like two presenters before. So I would like to push you to think a little bit different on systematic way, and to think from the global perspective. So we will start with some global perspective, and we go to the rivers, and then how to minimize the pollution in the rivers due to our personal life and also industry activities. So, shortly about my institute. As it was introduced, we are an integrated part of Kaunas University of Technology, and next year will be 30 years anniversary of our institute. So we are very kindly invited to our anniversary events, which will happen since the beginning of the next year. And we definitely share this information with you. And for a long time, we were working not in the Lithuania, but outside. So international projects in Europe, Asia, Central America, Africa, Asia, and other countries, dealing with cleaner production and waste minimization and other issues. And now we see we are doing a lot. So because of that, I will speak about a lot of things of different ones. So first, we started with sustainable industrial development. So we are working with different industries. So I visited, I don't know how many companies around the world, and very different industrial branches, sizes, and impacts. So we have our environmental performance improvement through cleaner production, environmental management systems and standards. The first company standardized by ISO 40000 in Lithuania was prepared by us some time ago. And also eco-design and life cycle assessment, which is on the top, I think, now, also talking about the plastic pollution and other environmental impacts. Energy efficiency and renewable energy sources, chemicals management, environmental impact assessment, integrated waste management, and sustainable urban governance. Also, we are proud to have two study programs. So we are unique at the university because we are an institute, but with two study programs. One is on master, sustainable management and production. So, and the another, it's PhD student program on environmental engineering, and I'm really happy to say that Jurgita, the previous presenter, graduated this program, and we're really proud to have this highly experienced PhD from our program. And since 2016, this is double degree program with Bologna University. So we had last year first two graduates, which had their double degree at Kaunas University of Technology and Bologna University. So this is shortly about us, and we are very active in international projects. So the main, let's say, incomes of our institute is from international projects, Horizon, Interrex, and others. So the small part is from national ones. So we are more working on European and other levels. So let's think about the pollution globally. All of you are, let's say, want to live a happy and comfortable life. For this, you need some, clubs, spaces to live, cars, computers, phones, whatever. And for this, you need a lot of resources. And due to technologies and due to different medical inventions, our age or our lives became longer and longer. So I don't know if you have heard that some biologists calculated that we can live quite long if they are staying very healthy during our life. So can you guess how long we can live? Just biologically, if we do not have any diseases.
150 years.
Yes, exactly. Can you imagine? So just, for example, if you're, I don't know, in your countries, then you have to retire at what age? 65, 68, yes. So can you imagine if you have a possibility to live 150? So more than a half of your life you are retired. So because of that, you need some adjustment to our development of our economies, of our everyday lives. And probably you have heard about silver economy, which is coming into our life because we have to adjust our society, our technologies, our health system to elder people. So this is also issues we have to face. Another very important things, and probably maybe you have heard that there is a simulation that in 2050, 70% of the human population will live in cities. So cities are growing, and maybe not, I say maybe in Lithuania we have a little bit different story. We try to move from the city centers at least, and to have a very nice surroundings as we have here, and this wonderful place in Marcinkonys, and to have this healthy environment. But anyway, due to technological changes, the cities are expanding, and especially in third countries, there's let's say, and I saw this modeling. The biggest cities in 2100 is in Asia and Africa, and if you can see, mainly they are situated in coastal areas. And then we talk a little bit later about the sources of pollution by plastic. You see that they are mainly coming from cities, in fact. Of course, we can talk about the roads, tires, and other issues, but cities, in fact, the activities of the persons and cities are the main sources of plastic pollution to the global ocean. So, what is happening? We have different types of plastics, and probably you know that there are primary plastic and secondary plastic. So primary, you can see what is all bottles, bags, and other stuff which is in the oceans, and probably you know that there are big islands, plastic islands, which we have to deal with in the nearest time, because it's really problematic and impacting our environment, not only due to there is a primary plastic, but also it becomes the secondary one, because it becomes like a microplastic, the particles of these big islands, they are getting into the water, and then they are cycles that get into our bodies and bodies of all the living stuff. So just for you to imagine what we have, I don't know if you ever consider what we have is the composition of different plastics. So you see, then you are taking your plastic bottle or a diaper or even a cigarette filter. You see what is happening if this not managed well. So the plastic bottle is almost, you can maybe find some glass bottles from 2000 before the Christ, I think, in Egypt or other countries. So this is really very important to know. And today maybe we more concentrate on microplastics. And if you think that microplastic is somewhere far away from you, I should say it's not so far away. We are already getting the microplastic in our bodies, and there is a simulation, calculation, and scientifically proved that we are eating our credit card each year. So maybe it's not very tasty for you. It's better to have some nice food instead of eating the credit card. But anyway, we are getting this amount of plastics via our drinking water, via food, and so on and so on. So this is, you see that it's salt water, fresh water, table salt, honey, seafood, and this is like a little bit funny in beer as well. So because some fresh water is using for beer production. Of course, we have some environmental and health concerns related to this. And the main sources of microplastics pollution. For a long time, we are thinking that microplastics is coming only from these plastic items. But I'm just looking to your gloves right now. And especially if you have the synthetic fibers and then you're washing your gloves in the washing machine, you are polluting our rivers, waters, and so on with the microplastic. So please keep in mind this, because of course, as I said in the very beginning, we are really want to live comfortably. And plastic gloves, they are, they are light, they are, good and easy to care, and so on and so on. But anyway, we have to deal with these issues as well. Of course, plastic bottles, straws, it's on the top now to ban. And part of them already banned since this year. But also we have this tire problem because the microplastic from tires is getting to the groundwater and then getting to the rivers and the oceans. Of course, the cutlery and you maybe noticed that in many supermarkets now plastic cutleries changed to the wooden one. Maybe it's not very comfortable if you tried once, so it's mainly to cut meat. It's not very easy. But anyway, we are trying to make changes in our lives. So these are the main items we have to think about. Then we would like to reduce the microplastic pollution in our environment. And also another very important thing, this is maybe, I'm just always joking, this is for ladies, because they're all cosmetics and cosmetic packaging. We can talk about the different packaging, yes, we can change packaging or collect or recycle, but when we are talking about the cosmetics, so it's a polluted packaging. So how to deal with them, this is another story. So there are a lot of things to do, and many scientists, I will introduce one project by the end of my presentation, we are trying to solve this problem. But then you will see it's not like only problem only for scientists. It's very important to have society together. And I think many of us, or many scientists, we are developing many technologies. But if technology is not accepted by society, we have a problem. So, for example, you probably know that we can produce the drinkable fresh water from wastewater. Of course, it costs a lot, but anyway, from psychological point of view, we made some kind of questionnaire and asked some our students, do they drink this kind of water? And they say no. So it doesn't matter that it seems like I know what you have right here. Yeah? But if it's written that it's made from wastewater, and say no, we do not want to have things. And maybe it's better than what is written here, but it's psychological thing. So from, I think the information, the knowledge, it's also very important in this area. So just to wrap up, this impact of the plastics, so we have many negative impacts of the plastics. And we definitely have to deal with this, and I think you really are there about this impact of plastics. But what I would like to stress a little bit more, from your experience, when you heard the prefix bio, does it make you like feel good? Because it seems like a very, it's nice, it's bio. But not always bio is good. And here we have, you see the plastic production. And part of plastic is oil-based, or let's say fuel-based plastic, and another is bio. And here we have another problem. I don't know how you familiar are with this, but in many cases, the fuel-based plastic you can recycle up to a certain degree, yes. And if you properly will collect this fuel-based plastic, you will solve many plastic pollution problems. In case of bioplastic, okay, it's produced from biomaterials, but not always, far away, not always, and not each bio-based bioplastic is recycled. And also there is really big problem, as we found out in our Horizon project, that in many cases bio-based plastic, if they would like to, let's call recycle, you need the industrial recycling. It's not very simple just to put in your compostable place and to make it like a destroyed. So there are so many problems, and looking from this plastic problems perspectives, so we need systematical solutions, systematical strategies, not to remove, let's say, all fuel-based plastic before we create the new materials which can be recyclable, and also to change our mindset to make this bio-based plastic collected in a proper way. So as we learned, the maybe best bio-based plastic waste collectors are in Spain. I was really surprised about this. They have a special containers and special motivation system. Can you imagine if you are collecting this bio-based plastic, you can get in bonus, and you can get to the cultural events, you can use this public transport, and so on and so on. So it's kind of the motivation. And maybe Lithuanians remember when we start this deposit system. What happened in Lithuanian riversides or forests? It cleaned everything, all plastic bottles which can be put into the deposit system disappeared. And we had like a social event. We were long queues next to this deposit machines, because everyone wants to put them there. So it was really nice, and we still have nice and efficient system here. I was really surprised that Japanese do not have this. And they arrived to Lithuania to ask for a kind of consultations on experience, how efficient we are and how we can do this, because I was really surprised in Tokyo they do not have the trash boxes instead. So you have to carry your waste together with you to your houses or to the hotel or so on. So it was really surprised. Okay, so what we happening with rivers? If you can imagine how the plastic is getting into the oceans, and I will show some maps later on. The rivers are main sources of supply, let's call, of plastic to our world ocean. And you see, we have number of rivers. We have so many rivers in our continent. And also we have the accumulated contribution of plastics to the ocean. And what is happening? Of course, if you look from this different continents perspective, you see that definitely not Europe is the main polluter. But we can say that, okay, formally we are not. But for a long time, we were exporting our plastic waste to China. And maybe you remember that in 2017, we got back. not only Europe, but also USA and other European countries, and we have to take a decision how to deal with plastics waste, because before that, we are really happy to get rid of the problem. Just put there and let China, Indonesia, Malaysia, please deal with this. And I should say the recycling factories in Malaysia or in China are really terrible. The conditions, technologies, and pollution. Pollution to workers, to the environment, and so on. And I really suggest you to see, there are several movies also, you can look on the YouTube, but like a plastic kids or something like that. So you'll see how the families, the generations are working in these factories and what kind of impacts they are getting through air pollution, water pollution, and so on. So to put the problem into another place, it's definitely not the solution. And maybe, Jurgita, you remember from cleanup production that the selling base, it's not a cleanup production at all. So we have to find this prevention ways, changing our materials, changing our processes, and try to solve this problem in the place. So here you see the rivers which are impacting the oceans and highest level. So the biggest source of pollution are the river in Philippines. Then we have Malaysia, India, another Philippines, you see a lot of them. Of course, we can say that there is a question of technology and so on, but can you ever think why in these countries we have so big plastic pollution? Have you ever thought about the sources? Why? Reasons? Especially when we are talking about food and the potable water. Yes, because in these countries there's a really big problem with fresh water, potable water. And also they have a high percentage of tourists. So in order to ensure that tourists, which are really big input of the economy, they are coming, they have to have a good quality water. So what we are doing, they are drinking this water in small bottles. There are so many of them. And there is no good system for collecting and also for recycling of this plastic bottles and packaging. And I should say, maybe you have a possibility before the pandemic, maybe to travel to these Asian countries, and you see that the food sellers, they want you good. They're trying to pack your food as safe as possible. So put them your food not in one bag, but in two, or maybe sometimes in three. So they are really overusing this packaging. And this is another problem, is the lack of education and knowledge. So, as I said, this is the potable fresh water, this is lack of education, and also the new materials for packaging. So I think the main three issues we have to go and to think about. And here you see, if you look from the continent point of view, you see this Asia is main polluter, but looking from this perspective, Europe is not a big polluter of water or rivers or oceans by plastic. I was really surprised with Oceania, because Oceania is comparatively not big in a way. But then we talk in one conference, it was like 2 years ago in China. The representative of Oceania, and she was from Tasmania, she showed me pictures, and it's a terrible view. And what was surprisingly, that the governments, they are not taking care about this. And there's no special programs. So we are involving NGOs, students, in order to change this mindset and to reduce this pollution in this unique area of Earth. So you have here And maybe you remember this one on the first slides, yes, of concentration of the cities. So we have the main polluters, it's cities with point sources, let's say, by the on the shores, on the ocean shores, yes. Then we have another. It's an emission by the generation, so per person. And this is the total emission from the country. So looking from that perspective, we have the biggest generation of plastic which is emitted to the ocean. Of course, India, we have the Australia, but we have the North and South America as well. So a lot of plastic is getting to the ocean. And by the amount, of course, China, because we have so many persons there. And this another thing, the mismanaged plastics. Of course, when we talk about China, many of plastics which is brought to China before the ban, they still have to deal with. So this is maybe a little bit reshaping or misshaping the situation. But we have this three main countries, China, India, and Brazil, with the biggest issues of mismanaged plastic here. So I do not like this curve what is happening. So it seems like for a long time we had this curve rolling, so bad things. But I hope that due to what is happening right now, yes, due to our activities, to our changing of our mindset, projects and other things, this curve should stop or change the shape. So I truly believe in this, and I think this really happens. So for a long time, we're trying as also, I'm citing you, sorry, but as Jurgita said that, okay, it's really hard to deal with this agricultural farmers and so on. So trying to be less bad and trying to make situation, you know, smooth. So we do not have time for this. And probably, you know, I think like 2 days before I saw this simulation, what will happen with our climate. Yes, so the change in temperature and everything, and maybe this summer we really felt this, but we are almost in I don't know, in Tanzania or whatever. It's really high temperature we have to deal, and not only we as young people, but for all the people with some specific heart diseases and so on. So this is very important, and we are trying to think about this on the also city planning level. And I don't know if somebody was in Seville, in the old town of Seville. It's perfect urban planning from medieval ages. There is a very hot in Seville during the summer, so the very nice time is to visit Seville in September. But if you can get, you are getting in Seville during the summer, this is the cheapest because of the hot. This is very hot there. But then you go to the old town, you see that the streets are really narrow, and there is all houses are built so that you have a natural ventilation system. So it's really cool there. So you are really enjoying staying in the old town of Seville, and it was planned in medieval ages. It's really fantastic. So I really suggest you after the pandemic to visit this and to see how city planning can help us to solve many issues. And also talking about other things, about city planning and all greener spaces. So we have different things coming now, and let's say 10, 15 years ago, it was like, okay, we are going to know concrete, glass, some, you know, metals and so on. It was like cool. We are changing our world, and now we are going back to the nature and talking about the biophilic design. So it's really nice, and also very closely related to plastic as well. So then we talk about the city system. It's an important thing to start with, I think, because in the cities we have concentrated a lot of power. We have the possibility to employ research, society, politicians, strategies, and so on. And we have kind of closed place concentrated in one. So not very how to say, distributed in the very big area. And then we see the relations in the city, so we can take a systematical solutions. For example, when you talk about waste management system, you can talk. You also have to think about the mobility, how the waste will be transported, what kind of energy is needed for this, or maybe waste can be used for energy production. Social infrastructure, how responsible each citizen is in order to ensure efficiency of the system. Spatial structure, water management system, and so on. So you have to see the whole picture. Then you are looking for the solution. Probably there's a very nice let's say, type of art. Then from domino parts, you are building the picture or some, system. And they are pushing the one and you have all picture if everything is okay. So then you are trying to introduce something, new project, yes? So you have to have this domino system in your mind. Because if somebody goes wrong, and your picture will be not revealed. Some will be barriers or so. You have to have, then you're thinking you have to have this whole picture in your mind. And then you are thinking about the city. And of course, the SDGs. But I don't know how many of you went deeper a little bit in each of these SDGs, because of the 17, and you definitely find in each of them something related to city, to ecosystem, and so on. So you can build here like a city and all the SDGs around this. So what we have to have. It depends on you what type of music you like. It can be classical music, it's a country band or rock band and so on. But anyway, you have the main person and you have the orchestra. And you can imagine the city is also type of orchestra. You have the major, you have the wastewater treatment department, you have waste department, you have so on. And if some of the musicians are playing the wrong music, what will happen? It will be crash, yes. Or it's another story. My students said that, okay, it will be like, how to say, modern music. So, in a way. I think we are seeking for this goal that we have this nice music, nice orchestra. Anyway, it should be played from like a and having in mind this orchestra, we are trying to build this resilient regions and cities, which are really in systematical way impacting our ecosystem, city ecosystem. And here you have many things. So logistics, grids, transport, water efficiency, resource efficient buildings, community-oriented infrastructure. We have upcycling and many things. So we have everything in mind that we are talking about. And because of that, we need interdisciplinary teams. And to put together many different persons, and not only researchers, but also, as I said, society, politicians, NGOs. It's very important to find the optimal solutions and to go further and to seek our goals. And another thing which is very important, and I don't know if you have heard about this restorative sustainability. For a long time, we are talking only about the sustainability. We're looking for the future. Restorative sustainability means that we also have to fix mistakes we made before. So it's a systematical changes, not thinking only about what will happen, how not to harm some ecosystems in the future, but also fixing what was done bad before. So it's really, and especially this restorative sustainability now is applied on the city levels. Of course, circular city. This is another story which is happening and coming into our life more and more. And as I mentioned in my question to Jurgita, that now Lithuania has started, or maybe in the middle way, this Lithuanian industry transformation to circular economy roadmap. And I should say that we are not a little bit, but quite late with this, because we have many countries which have these roadmaps working already. And I have heard that we have guests from Poland. And we took, I should say that we took your country's roadmap as a nice example as well. So we investigated many roadmaps which were developed in European countries, and I should say that the Polish roadmap seems for us very clear and efficient. So I don't know how you are happy with this, but from the side it seems very, very attractive. So we are going to this circular city, which should close the cycles on the city level and also to reduce the impact to the environment. So there are some, let's say, benefits of the circular cities, and looking from the sustainability perspective, this is benefit for society, for environment, it's a technological progress, and of course, economical development. And here you see that circular city is not only technology, we have many things, decision-making, strategies, policies, financial support. We have capacity building, knowledges, and so on. So it's a quite big system. And also we can compare with each of us, with our body, yes? Because we have a municipality here. We have some management things in our hands. We have a transportation system here. And I really like one example my PhD student did with what is happening when we have a traffic jams in the city. So it can compare this traffic jam with the blood system. So can you imagine if we have some stroke? So cities, in many cities, they have really strokes in the morning hours and some rush hours in the afternoon. So we have to manage this in a proper way to solve the problems. And maybe I will go to this textile. And as I mentioned, the textile are now the big part, the big source of the plastic, microplastic pollution. And the special systems for circularity for textile is coming more and more in our lives. Because in many cases where we are talking, when we are talking about plastic, we are talking about plastic bottles and bags. And not only now we are talking more and more about the textile pollution. So we see that we really have problems with textile containers, with textile waste management. And this is a really big source of the microplastic from textiles getting into our oceans and rivers and other sources. So it's not only responsibility of politicians, it's not only responsibility of scientists, it's not only responsibility of NGOs or municipalities. It's a responsibility of each of us. So we really have to know what kind of impacts our activities have. So this is very important. Then you are knowing, and then you know. So it's not a kind of punishment, but understanding. I think it's most important thing to understand your impacts, but not doing because you are forbidden to do. So this is, I think, most efficient system when you are not trying to avoid or to hide some bad things, but not to do those bad things in your lives. And this is like a short about our project. So we started 2 years ago. It's a Horizon 2020 Bioplastic Euro project. So we have 22 partners, quite many, from 30 countries, and one of the countries outside EU is Malaysia. So we have very interesting experience with the plastic management system in Malaysia, because Malaysia overtook this big processing of plastic waste from China. And our main objectives is to define, test, and deploy innovative product design strategies made from renewable sources. Then we have to map current waste collection and management schemes, and then investigate the potential impacts of bio-based plastic on the terrestrial and aquatic environment, and also to human health, and to build biodegradable plastic sustainability framework to produce safety protocols. Then we have developed innovative business models and also education program and communication of the strategy. So we have, you see here, like 9 work packages. In advance, I should say, I cannot reveal the materials right now, because Fraunhofer Institute, together with partners, they're working on the new materials for cutlery, for agrofilm, for toys, and for cosmetic packaging. So we are trying to find the new materials for this packaging, and I hope that in 2 years we have some interesting things to present to our society. So yeah, this is really interesting project, and we're really happy to work on this. And this is a little bit looking to the future, how cities are preparing to this minimization of impact to oceans. So you see the Boston here, 2017, because due to rise of world ocean level, we are trying to prepare and preparing not to lose the land, because remember from the first slide, the amount of people is growing, of population, so we still need many places to live. So we are trying to plan city on the ecological way, not to make a harm to environment, and also to save place for people. And this is ocean. Many technologies are developed already, and I agree that you will get this link. This one of nice examples of ocean cleanup. You definitely will find many of them, but this is very interesting technology. They're choosing solar technology, and quite efficient to clean our oceans. So this is nice destination for the future, but I'm really happy that many cities and also many persons already started this travel to the circularity and to reducing the impact to the environment. So thank you very much for listening, and I'm happy to answer